We begin with breaking news out of the U.S. this hour. The jury in the contentious trial between former Hollywood couple Johnny Depp and Amber Heard has delivered a verdict.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
The jury ruled in favor of Depp, saying his ex-wife did defame him in an essay she wrote in the Washington Post about her experience with domestic abuse. But it also found in favor of some parts of Heard's counter-defamation suit against Depp. The jury awarded $15 million in damages to Depp and $2 million to Heard. Steve Futterman joins us now from Los Angeles. And Steve, you've been covering this entire trial for us over the past few weeks. Can you take us through the verdict?
Well, you know, Andrew, this was basically a he said, she said trial. We said that all along. And in the end, the jury said they believed what he said, what Johnny Depp said. It found in favor of him on all three of the questions that he was asking the jury to find that Amber Heard did defame him, did libel him, and awarded him, as you said, the combination $15 million, both in compensatory and punitive damages. It's a major defeat for Amber Heard because in the verdict, the jury was basically asked, do you believe what Amber Heard said about Johnny Depp? It all stemmed from that op-ed in the Washington Post in 2018, where she was talking not about Johnny Depp specifically, but talking about being a victim of domestic abuse. Everyone agreed she was talking about Depp, but the jury said they did not believe her accusations. Johnny Depp had claimed all along, his attorneys had claimed all along, that she was embellishing things. And essentially, if you want to read between the lines, that's what the jury seemed to agree to, that she was embellishing things, that Johnny Depp did not physically abuse her. So it's a major defeat for her, a victory for Johnny Depp. In his statement, he has said, my life is back. There will be appeals, of course. This is an American trial. There are always appeals, and we'll see what happens in the end. But for the moment, Johnny Depp does appear to be vindicated. Will this help his career get back on track? Hard to say, but obviously he is very pleased with the verdict.
And so what does this mean now for Johnny Depp and for Amber Heard in terms of the actual amounts that could be awarded?
Yeah, there's going to be more questions about this. There will be challenges about this. It's a civil trial. You can ask for an appeal. You can have a judge lower the amount. You can claim that the amounts were incorrectly determined by the jury. So there will be lots of challenges, I'm sure, in some months ahead. There will be major appeals on both sides, I'm sure.
And we have heard some reaction to all of this. And Steve, can you just describe the media circus around all of this?
Well, listen, how often do you have a case like this where two high-profile, obviously Johnny Depp a bit more high-profile than Amber Heard, but she is certainly a well-known Hollywood actress, when they're suing each other, when they're basically exposing their dirty laundry in a court of law. And they had done this once before in London. In that case, basically it was not identical, but Johnny Depp lost that case where he sued the London tabloid The Sun. But in this case, they were both accusing each other, very graphic testimony. She accused him of assaulting her, at one point sexually assaulting her with a bottle, not to get too graphic. But there was some very, very disturbing testimony in the case. Johnny Depp from the start said he never struck Amber Heard, and then he added, I've never struck any woman. So that was his basic claim from the start. And again, if you want to read what the jury said, they essentially believed what Johnny Depp said and didn't believe what Amber Heard said.
Steve, thank you. That is Steve Futterman live in Los Angeles.
Thank you.
And we just got a statement from Amber Heard on Twitter. She says, the disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, sway, and influence of my ex-husband. I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It's a setback. She went on to say, I'm sad I lost this case, but I'm sadder still that I seem to have lost a right I thought I had as an American to speak freely and openly. Here to help us parse this decision is Rachel Fizet in Los Angeles. She's an attorney and managing partner at Zweibach, Fizet and Coleman. And thank you very much, Rachel, for taking the time. So what do you make of this verdict?
The verdict was, to me, a pretty clear victory as it relates to Johnny Depp. Yes, there was a statement made that they found defamatory towards Amber Heard, but I think Johnny Depp is the clear winner of this trial, both in the public's eye and with the jury. He had a very high burden to overcome to show defamation, and he did.
And why do you think that is? Because it's very rare for a verdict like this, isn't it?
It is rare. Defamation is a very high standard, particularly as it relates to a public figure. And I think Johnny Depp is a star, and he brought star power to this case. And they began a credibility battle into an enormous amount of facts. And I think his team played it very well. And Johnny Depp's narrative, and he just had a connection with the jury that I don't think any facts or law could overcome.
So what do you make of then Amber Heard's reaction, saying that she's disappointed, that she believes that this is a setback for women who speak out?
I think it could possibly have a chilling effect for women who speak out. When you think of what this suit was about, it was about an op-ed about speaking out against domestic violence. And she got hammered. So I think the fear from a macro level is that it does have a chilling effect on women. From a smaller level, these are two Hollywood stars. These are two actors. This is an incredibly rare type of case. So I don't know what would happen if you had two regular people bringing this case.
That's a really interesting point. She also said, and I just read it in a tweet, that she's heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, sway, and influence of my ex-husband. What do you make of that kind of a description from her perspective of the star power of Johnny Depp?
Well, that's been her story since the beginning. That is what the op-ed was about, and she is sticking to it. This is what this case in her mind was about. I believe, regardless of what is the truth, she believes her truth, and she continues to believe her truth regardless of what the jury found.
What happens next in the legal proceedings of all of this, and in terms of the actual amounts that are going to be awarded?
So the way it comes out, Amber Heard owes Johnny Depp $13 million. There were compensatory damages, punitive damages, which is punishment, and then she received $2 million in compensatory damages. So at the end of the day, she owes him $13 million. I don't know if it's collectible. I didn't get the feeling that Amber Heard had that kind of money, but he can definitely take her to collections as it relates to the money owed. I think there may be a cap on what is actually owed her, so it might actually not be the $2 million. But he may garnish her wages going forward. If he wants to collect this verdict, there are things he can use under the law to try to collect this verdict through time from her if she doesn't have the money right now.
And could she appeal?
She can appeal. I don't know exactly what her basis for appeal would be based on how the trial went. It was a pretty thorough trial. But I think her basis would be back to her First Amendment rights and just the exact terms of what the law is. But she's not saying she's going to appeal. Usually there's a statement that is put out as it relates to appeal. If that is the intention, it would be very expensive, and I think she knows that too. So I think at this point she might just be trying to save her dollars and cents.
Rachel, good of you to take the time to talk to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Rachel Fizet is an attorney and managing partner of Zweibach, Fizet & Coleman. And we want to show you the scene outside the Virginia courtroom where that decision came in. Those are fans of actor Johnny Depp there. They have been loudly proclaiming their excitement. Social media users provided their own breathless commentary on the trial as it was happening. Most of it was vitriol aimed at Amber Heard, mocking and dismissing her evidence. What impact will this verdict have on the social media conversation and on abuse victims coming forward? Stacey Lee Kong is the founder of Friday Things, a pop culture newsletter, and a freelance writer and editor. She is live in Toronto. Stacey, thank you for taking the time. What's your reaction to the verdict?
I'm actually really shocked. So unlike your previous guest, I'm not a legal expert. And so I was looking at it from kind of a layman's perspective, and based on all of the evidence that Amber Heard brought forward in terms of text messages, she had witnesses, she had all of this documentation, she had photos. And to me, and my understanding of libel, because she had the truth on her side, or she had all of this evidence, and so I thought she had the truth on her side, I did not think that Johnny Depp was going to win. So that was my first reaction. And my second reaction, honestly, is disappointment, because I do think it's basically guaranteed that this is going to have a chilling effect on other victims of abuse of any gender who were thinking about speaking honestly about their experiences and now have a major barrier in their way.
And, you know, we're looking at fans outside. We've been seeing fans outside trying to get into that courtroom, the social media conversation. I mean, what kind of influence do you think all of that could have had?
That is a major question for me. So my understanding, and I could totally be wrong, but my understanding is that the jury was sequestered. And so I would hope that social media did not have an impact on their deliberations. But even as your previous guest was saying, Johnny Depp's star power seemed overpowering of facts, right? And this conversation did not just happen over the past 6 weeks. There has been a really long history, unfortunately, of social media users turning this case into, or turning this conflict into, memes and jokes and content. It's just really ramped up in the past 6 weeks. And so my hope is that it didn't impact it, but I think that is a really important question that legal experts need to be looking at, and then thinking about how you can protect the right to a fair trial, and if that's what's happening, right?
And so, you know, just scrolling on TikTok and Twitter, it seemed most people were on Johnny Depp's side while dismissing Heard. Some people have said that this backlash is, you know, a microcosm of a larger one against the Me Too movement. What do you think?
Yeah. So I think it clearly some of that is going on. I think for me, the bigger question is we should be looking at the limits of Me Too. So Me Too was a campaign, a sort of social media campaign. It was a conversation, it was a discourse, but it did not actually have policy change attached to that. And so for a long time, I've been wondering what has Me Too actually been able to accomplish on that case? Because as much as we've all been talking about abuse more since 2017, and for a while there, it seemed like there was a bit of a turning point where people who had historically had a lot of power to suppress conversations like this were maybe losing some of that power. It's clear that there's not that hasn't been a lasting change in terms of our conversation. And if there wasn't, and there hasn't been kind of accompanying it, policy changes and changes in leadership and changes in kind of institutions, then it can't actually go very far.
Why do you think that is, if that in fact is what's happening?
I think this is the challenge of any kind of activism that is kind of taking place on social media, is that it's really easy to have conversations. And I will be the first person to tell you that it's important to talk about the things that we are seeing. But the people who are in charge of our institutions, whether that's police departments, whether that is, you know, the people who are in charge of crafting legal policy, that has not seen a demographic change over the past 5 years. So the same people who were in charge pre-Me Too are often still in charge post-Me Too. And that's a big part of it, I think.
Stacey, it was really great to get your perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
That was Stacey Lee Kong in Toronto. She's the founder of Friday Things, a pop culture newsletter, and a freelance writer and editor.